able to be here today.
Oh, this question's for a friend.
No.
If it's a burning sensation, you should go to the clinic.
Not that kind of friend. But I was hoping I'd get a voicemail recording from you to send to her other friend who is a huge fan of Samurai Jack. I mean, I can wait till the very end to have that done if you're willing.
Okay. Cops everywhere. Yes, let's wait till the end and talk about that.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Oh, dude.
Such grace. Now, I understand you were Ganon Beck in Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
Did you actually play the game in the sequel Sith Lords?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I could try to pretend, but no. Because it's funny, because the earlier panel, I was talking about there are certain characters that you hold on to and you have a good grasp of, and there are certain ones you don't remember. That's one of the ones I do not remember. And part of it is because video game stuff is, you're much less connected to it. One, you generally don't get complete scripts, and the scripts you get don't make any sense. It's just line. With a half-hour animated show, you at least are getting a story. You understand what your character is doing in the whole video games. It'll be 4 hours of just like random lines. Some of it is gameplay, some of it is not even story. So there's very little to connect to. And it's much harder to remember, especially that was such a huge game. I think I wound up doing multiple characters in that game, and it was difficult to remember it was difficult to know while I was doing it, what I was talking about, And it's weird because we've been, I don't know, you guys probably aren't even aware of this, but the Actors Union is actually on strike against 11 video game companies right now since last October, because we can't get them to understand and respect what we do in their world. And on a certain level, I get it. They started out, they didn't have any voice, they didn't have acting in video games. But, the art form evolved to the point where it became more and more cinematic. And it's like, you actually need actors. Sure, at one point it was just text. Now, and then you needed artists, to give the graphics life. And now you need actors to give emotion to the graphics. And they just don't get it, Like the fact that I make more from doing an episode of Pound Puppies than from both Metal Gear games I did combined is insane. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's also just, issues of respect, like the fact that, a lot of companies get it, and if you have to do, because you guys know how much violence there is in your average video game, and the screaming that's required, most smart directors and developers make those sessions 2 hours, because they know that after 2 hours of yelling, there's nothing left. And, we wanted to put that in the contract, and the company said no. How about we pay you half for blowing your throat out? Like, no, you're missing the point. And there's the idea that more and more games need, there are actually always been a lot of games that don't need actors, if you're doing Gran Turismo, who cares? It's like, there's not a lot of feeling there. It's like, you don't need us. But, if you're doing, a Metal Gear, if you're doing, Call of Duty, you're building stories, you're building worlds, and you want people to feel things, And for years now, the video game people have been depending on TV and movies. That's how I make my living. And the reason I can afford to, have a house is not from the video game. It's like, well, if you want to have a group of artists available to do this work for you, you can't just like throw them nickels. It's like, well, if we don't want to? It's like, okay. And that's where we stand now. There are a bunch of video game companies who said, all right, that makes sense, yeah. You know, and then there are these other 11 companies that have said, maybe we don't need you. Like, all right, well, so my hunch is in, 2 years, there are going to be a bunch of games you want to play, and then a lot of racing games by EA and Activision. Or maybe, I don't know, Gritty Mario. Okay.
To follow,
You have to have a microphone so you can speak.
to follow up on the question that you were just answering about, because you were you did the Metal Gear, and you alluded to that it was done Japanese first, and then the voices were translated by the American voice actors. To touch up on that, because there are other games that come over here, like say anime ones that are based off of video games that don't get dubbed with the American voices. They just import them through the Japanese voices. Do you know why they handle it more like that? If it's less in demand to do that, versus something like Metal Gear or Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, because those animes and Metal Gear are Japanese original video games that do get the American voice actors to translate them, but other animes like Attack on Titan's example that's very popular right now that didn't get only got a subtitle release for the video game that just came out a year ago.
Oh, really?
It only got a subtitle and it didn't get a dub.
But isn't there a dubbed animated series?
Yeah, there's the dub, but there's not the video game. The video game was not English dubbed.
Interesting.
And only the subtitle was, and with the popularity, you think it would be, and that's what I'm curious if there's any insight on what they decide to go over from Japan to be, translated in American voices or not.
I don't know. Because honestly, they don't discuss the import-export business with the actors. My hunch would be they don't see a big enough market to justify the additional cost. And they're counting on hardcore anime fans to just buy the Japanese language. And they're figuring that there's not a broad-based enough audience, because I think with Naruto they realized, there are enough people out there who want this dubbed. We can spend this money. But I don't know. Who knows how they make these things? Someone years ago decided to hire Brad Pitt for a kid's animated film. What is that? Nothing 8-year-old boys love more than the voice of Brad Pitt. Right? What was that, Treasure Planet? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
There was some animated feature that he had the lead voice.
Spirit, Guardian of the Cimarron. Whatever.
That was Brad Pitt? Somebody? Is all y'all Google broke? Somebody look this up. Jesus. We're just this is like being with other 50-year-olds. Well, let's just figure it out. Damn it, look it up! God. In the meantime, who's got a question? Yes.
Yes. What is your hardest voice you ever done?
I don't know. Because a voice can be hard in a lot of different ways. Something can be, rough on the vocal cords, but if you only have 6 lines, it's not that hard. I'm trying to think. The only time I've ever blown my voice out was for a nonsense character, like a incidental cop in a Terminator game, and it was just I only worked for half an hour, but it was all screams. It was okay, now you're being killed with a chainsaw. Now you're being killed with a flamethrower. Now you're being killed with a shotgun. That's not so much about the character as it is just screaming your throat out for half an hour and it's gone. Um, hard in terms of playing a character. I don't know. It might come to me later. It was the one where I had to play Brad Pitt. Oh wait, you found wait. Cruel World. No, he was on camera in Cruel World. Sinbad. What's that? What's that? But no, it's not that it's not a matter of whether it was good, but why Brad Pitt? Like, who the hell ever paid money to hear Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
You know, was he animated taking off his shirt?
Maybe.
Maybe. He was like, Mom, I got a cartoon for you. Yes.
What's the most unique role that you've ever been, like, that's ever been brought to you, whether you did it or not? If you aren't really sure about that, perhaps a better question, or a different question might be better, is what is your favorite role that you've ever done?
Oh, I forgot to do the disclaimer.
I apologize.
No. My bad. I will not answer any questions that include the word favorite, best, most. Look, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I need specificity. For y'all to be lazy and make me do all the work, ain't gonna work. What's a thing that you like most ever?
Fair enough.
No. Because generally speaking, when somebody asks me, what is your favorite character? Really what you want to do is tell me what your favorite character is. And that I'm extremely interested in hearing. I would love to know what your favorite is, because that will probably trigger something in me. It's like, really? Because that, I'm glad you think that. But like to ask me what my favorite is, it may be something you've never heard of. I've done a lot of shit.
Right. No, and that's part of the reason why I was curious.
But I don't have a favorite, because I'm too old and I don't remember. My favorite is Gat and Thek. You can pass it on. You can come back.
So
because you know you don't have a good question.
Actually,
now you just hold on to the mic. Now you're just hogging the mic. Yo, I'm not gonna drop this mic. I'm just gonna keep on freestyling because I ain't got nothing to rhyme with. No.
So between something like Samurai Jack or Static Shock versus something a little bit more adult, like Futurama with Hermes Conrad, what do you usually prefer, or like what do you find more enjoyment in?
It's not so much about target audience. It's not even about medium. Quality is its own genre. What I've found over the years is working with talented people who have clear vision and are open to collaboration. That's what makes for great works. And that is true in film, in animation, on stage, all across the board. It can be. I worked on a children's theater play years ago that was specifically targeted towards at-risk youth, and we toured around, but it had heart, and it was such a smart approach. That was better than some feature films that I've worked on. There's nothing within the way something is made or who it's aimed at that necessarily precludes it being great.
Are there any roles that you regret turning down later?
Now, see, that there presumes that I turn down roles. And this shows a fundamental lack of understanding about the supply and demand involved in the workaday actor life. We spend all of our time trying to get work. 90% of an actor's time is spent auditioning. I can hear you. And you spend the 10% of the time we spend working is the reward for all the time we spend auditioning. I mean, you guys are all in college. You don't know about interviewing for jobs, but it's basically like if your job was, do you? Yeah. So, okay, applying for stuff, interviewing. Imagine if that was what you spent 90% of your time doing. Isn't it awful? But see now, because in most industries, there's that period, like at the senior year or whatever, where you go down all these interviews, I'm doing all this stuff, then you get a job, and then you're right. As an actor, you spend all this time trying to get these jobs, then you get a job, and a week later it is. And you go right back to where you are right now. Yeah. Everything we do is a temp job. So as far as turning things down, I mean, at most, there might be an audition that comes across where they say it's a low budget thing and there's no money. The people who are working on it have never done anything any good. Do you want to audition for it? Like, no. There have probably been a handful of auditions that I've turned down, but if I choose to audition for something, odds are, if I get it, I will take it, just because that's the job. The job is to act by hook or by crook. Yes.
Okay, so you are a voice actor, you've been in movies, but you're also an impressionist. So, which means you're observant. I'd like to know the steps you take to not only identifying mannerisms and characteristics, but trying to mimic them as well.
Let's see. Not the word favorite. That's actually a great question. Because I started out early, I wouldn't even say in my career, just in performing. In high school, we did a play called Play It Again, Sam, which was a questionable choice on a number of levels. I went to an all-boys school. This is a Woody Allen play that has 8 roles, 5 of them are women. But my drama teacher was a little bit of a dog. So, but the part I played was the part of Humphrey Bogart. And it required doing a Humphrey Bogart impression. And, I don't know, I was 10th grade? 15-year-old little black kid, and I had the best Humphrey Bogart impression in our school. And for me, it's about identifying what's happening in the character's mouth. What am I hearing? How do I create? For instance, Humphrey Bogart is sort of he's got sort of a deeper end of the register, but there's also a slight, some sort of Eastern accent and this sort of, weird lisp in here. And you figure out, okay, how does it get to there? A lot of it is tight mouth, and the lips tighten up, and you got a little, you can't make it too much. It's not this. A lot of people do Bogart and shish. No, it's subtle. It's a little bit too much air coming through on each edge. And the trickiest impressions I find are ones that are too close to my own voice. Because for me, I hear the impression by subtracting my own voice. And if I hear too much of myself, I feel like I'm not getting it right. Like, I've never been able to do a satisfactory Martin Lawrence. Because I don't know, I can't get a handle on it. And sometimes it takes hearing someone else doing it. There's the old talk show host Johnny Carson. Rich Little was an impressionist who used to do Johnny Carson. He did Johnny Carson for years, and it was a dead-on Johnny Carson. He would do Johnny doing, talking about things, and it sounded, but you couldn't, no one else could do it. And then Dana Carvey from Saturday Night Live began to do Johnny Carson. And his was less exact, like it didn't fool anybody. It sounded like a parody of Johnny Carson, but it captured all of the little things, and all of a sudden, because then you had Dana Carvey doing Johnny Carson like this. Yes, here in beautiful downtown Burbank. And all of a sudden you hear all of the little things that Rich Little was doing, but in much smaller detail. But when it's taken up here, all of a sudden it becomes easier to copy. And for instance, I do Chris Rock. A lot of people do Chris Rock, but most people do, because there's two Chris Rocks. There's on stage Chris Rock, and then there's interview Chris Rock. Most people do on stage. Most people do Chris Rock on stage. And he's just talking and talking. There's a rhythm, there's a sing-song to it. But then there's this other Chris Rock. The Chris Rock that you'll hear if he's doing something in a movie or in an interview or something. That's the real Chris Rock. It's got a little bit of the up and down, but not too much. And for me, if you can really do an impression, you can do both sides. I actually used to do a mediocre Eddie Murphy. It was mostly the same thing. It was mostly loud Eddie Murphy. Hey man, what you doing? But then I will admit this, stole my full Eddie Murphy from one of my compatriots on Mad TV, Aries Spears. Because Aries did the other side of Eddie. He did interview Eddie. See, the thing about it is, when Eddie Murphy talks about Eddie Murphy pulls everything back, and Eddie Murphy talks very quietly. See, because Eddie Murphy's a big star. And Eddie Murphy is such a big star, they talk about himself in the third person, see? And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, because if you can do this Eddie Murphy, and you can do this Eddie Murphy, then you can do all the Eddie Murphys that there are. That was a very, very long answer. Oh, we got one here. There.
Me?
You, with the microphone.
Wait, what? Can you hear me, man? Sorry. Bowlby from Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah!
Which is one of these things that is weirdly getting a resurgence, but go ahead.
I wanted to know how you warmed up for, getting into character with him. The slap.
Bowlby was one of those side characters, like Jackie Combs on Foster's, or Dracula on Billy and Mandy. Bobby was just this really crazy voice that they had me do. And it was just one of those things where it was basically just trying to make the writers laugh. It's like, what kind of voice? Well, we've got this character. It's like, where's he from? Some weird country somewhere. And he's got these big googly eyes. Like, sometimes we talk about going against type. This is one where you lean all the way into type. Hello, I'm Bobby. There is no logic. There is no method. There is no going deep into character there. That's a cartoon voice. Yeah, exactly. It's really what I'm like inside. There's all this exterior, but deep inside, there's Bobby! Yes.
You've done a lot of action sort of things,
What do you mean? Like cartoons?
Yeah. You've done
You mean, video games?
everything. Samurai Jack.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, what was going through your head the first time you go into something and
Oh, well, thankfully you usually get to do some dialogue too. 'Cause that would just be weird. No, one thing I do remember, Because I think the first time I really had to do action on a regular basis was probably Justice League. Because we had, big action set pieces in that show from the very beginning. And I remember thinking, because it was pretty early on in my career, it's like, I'm like, and I couldn't make a punching sound without making a punching movement. Because it just didn't, you weren't sure it was the right sound otherwise. And I kept thinking, man, when I get good at this, I'm going to be able to make these sounds without moving. And it's not the case. If you try to do a punching sound without moving, it probably is right, but it doesn't feel right. Like, I can't tell if I'm doing the right sound unless I put a little body into it. It's interesting, especially with Justice League. And I actually sort of got into it a tiny bit with the writers about this once. Power. What is the sound of willpower? It's like, all right, so we need a straining sound. It's like, why? Why is he straining? Like to hold his arm up? It's like, and basically they said, it's a cartoon. Like, if we don't have a sound there, you don't feel it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess. But it was always weird to me, because it's like, like, why? In real life, if you had a ring that ran on mental power, but you're right, nobody wants to pay to watch that.